Out. Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on Wednesday, January 26, 2022. I've got here Michael G. Cox. We're just doing a roundtable, and he's the only one on the other side of the table. And
it's not so round,
yeah,
this
okay.
table.
That's a hypothetical or an ideal, a platonic ideal, everybody. Okay, I have some interesting things that, I thought if I was left here myself today, I would talk about, but we already started talking about Michael G. Cox's career. So go ahead, explain what you were saying. I don't know how else.
Okay. So we're talking about how I started listening to the Recruiting Animal Show, and I used to listen to some podcasts for management and things like that, right? So I thought, you know what, I've been in this agency for several years, and I wonder if
You were there
there's
several
anything else.
years. You were there
Yeah,
years. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
yeah. And I thought, you know what, let me see if I can find anything that's specific to recruiting, because I listened to and kind of trained myself up on how to manage others. So now I should try and find something about recruiting. And I found a bunch of, different shows, different podcasts about recruiting, and found the Recruiting Animal Show. And this Recruiting Animal Show, I was like, oh man, annoying, but I like the fact that it's kind of, you show up with a topic that, like, you talk about what's working for you in recruiting, and then people attack and you defend. And I kind of like that style of, I don't know if I'd call it debate, but presentation, where you're actually getting to the nitty gritty of whether or not that actually does work, or if it's just your little brain fart, or it just works in what you do. And so that's kind of where I started picking up a bunch of stuff and learning and, getting better.
Okay, well, I call it a debating style, right? And the thing is, most people don't like that.
No.
That's why I have warnings about the show. If you're thin-skinned, you can't stand other people disagreeing with you, don't come
Yeah,
here, okay?
exactly.
Don't come here. If
Understandable.
you don't like that, don't come here. Did I say it enough times?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
started talking about this because I was wondering, why in the heck did you actually start this show?
That's a long story. So the show started in March 2007. Goes back to I used to work with Anthony J. Meany, and he was a fantastic recruiter, and he suggested that we start a blog. That was
Yeah.
January 2004. So we started the blog, and then
What was it called?
Canadian Headhunter.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then we had recruiting.com. Hi, Ivan. We had recruiting.com. That was a very popular blog. We made money. That was the only time. Then we had everybody. There was three of us. We had a fight, and we split up.
Nice.
And I started the Recruiting Animal blog. And then but Anthony and I used to talk every morning, and to me it sounded like a radio show.
Yeah.
And so as soon as the opportunity came up with the technology, with Blog Talk Radio, I started it. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, you got Anthony there. Yeah, great guy, a fantastic recruiter. Okay.
Very cool. And that basically started the premise of the show, where you guys just talk shop.
Yeah, but he never wanted to be on. He was on once. He wasn't. He was too busy making money. I'm lazy.
Understandable.
No, but actually, you get to talk to people who know better or are willing to share. I think it's way different than when you were totally isolated on your own. Well, here's a question then: can somebody who has never recruited before, since they can get this free information from lots of recruiting shows, not just the Recruiting Animal Show, can that kind of person operate better without having the support that they would in the past have gotten by joining an agency and having people to refer to? I have an answer myself, but I'll throw it out to you.
So you mean
if
they had, if what they had was zero experience recruiting and just access to podcasts and shows like this
and Facebook groups? Okay. Now Ivan is an interesting case because he didn't work for another agency, as I think, but he was a techie himself. He was a developer, and he started placing developers for free just by referrals. And then he said, okay, it's like the happy hooker. She was having a lot of sex, and she decided, why don't I make some money at this, right?
Holy shit.
And that's the
I
exact
love
same
that.
thing.
That was,
so
that's a
Yes,
big
exactly.
jump.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Just call me a hooker, like on public
Yes.
internet. It's
A
amazing that
happy
I'm
hooker,
excited
not
that
just a
I'm
hooker.
that I'm
Yeah. So actually, we should try to come up for some moniker for you, like happy hooker, only happy recruiter. I don't know.
I wonder if that's available. Let's check. I'm gonna
Happy
go to
recruiter is not.
GoDaddy
It's
for
just
you.
not that good. Okay. Actually, when Rich Rosen was first on the Recruiting Animal Show, I did bill him as the happy recruiter. He was so
Nice.
happy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but Ivan did it. But Ivan was different in that he had a very strong technical background himself. He knew everything about what he was working with. Whereas, let's say a recruiter, look at a recruiter like Chris Murdoch. Fantastic personality, in my opinion. He was just on the show a few weeks ago, and he came straight out of university and went to work in Yahoo or somewhere like that as an in-house recruiter. He didn't have any professional background. He was completely different from Ivan. So he had to work someplace where there were people to tell him, oh, well, this is what this means, this is what that means, and give him support. But what if somebody like Chris came out of college right now without any professional background? Could that person use all these recruiting shows and social media to support him or her, or is that not enough? Ivan, I'll give you first since you're the happy recruiter. Happy hooker. I'm going to call you happy hooker from now on.
So, like, can you learn? Like, I mean, can you learn to make love if you have like the books about making love?
You know
don't
what?
know.
I have to
I
tell you
mean,
something.
you
I had a
can,
friend who told me it really helped. I can't remember the name of he was crazy about this woman.
the friend is Michael G. Cox.
Was a friend, a very successful guy, and he had. I'll be frank with you. His wife, when I was one of the most beautiful girls I'd ever seen. Okay, but he divorced her and married somebody else. And he sometimes talked about this book, Lou something or other. I can't remember her last name. It was by a woman. And he said her books were fantastic. So he was an experienced husband and he improved his life by reading a book about sex. So if you're saying if you've never had sex before, that's a different thing.
So that's what I wanted to say is like exactly.
Sorry.
So the book probably can improve like your practical skills. Like we go to those groups, we already have practical skills and we improve upon that. But like just from this online stuff, it's very, very hard. My personal case, I think, well, it's both like a tragedy and like, well, I hope success story at the same time, because if I would have started to work actually at like a recruitment agency, I would have learned so many things like so much faster. But at the same time, I might have just looked at that and said, no, this is no way I'm going to do that, right? So because I didn't go to a recruitment agency, but started just on my own, like literally, okay, I'm going to just do this now, register the company. It was like, okay, like I will try to do the best I can. And now I'm doing that for almost 6 years, right? And I have.
We've lost you. We can't hear you. Can't hear you all of a sudden. Oh, now I can hear you.
Now it's good, right?
No,
Well,
it's
better
worse,
than
but I can
before.
hear you.
Wait a second. It's very bad. This was like such a good speech, and then I like screwed up by not
Yeah,
having
it's
like.
happened.
No, we heard like 99% of it.
Yeah, we heard most of it. Just the last few
But
seconds.
here's the thing, dude. So my problem when I was in an agency, I mean, I did it during the summers between semesters when I was in university to pay for university, and I was getting paid like 24,000, but man, that paid for university and it paid for my beer, and I was happy. And then I went in to go do it for another 4 years after graduating, and I think the problem is that you just get lost in it. You can get lost. One can get lost. I got lost in it and didn't realize there was a world outside of those four walls. And so not until I started tapping into resources outside of like internal trainers and whatnot, I didn't really know about the whole world and possibilities of doing recruiting independently, working for other agencies, going corporate. Dude, I didn't know spit.
Back to Ivan. You were going to finish up.
So like I mean, like there's like no clear path, right, to learning that, but probably like, so the practical way is the best way, right? And like for me, I didn't do it to work for someone, and then at the same time, like I started doing that, and then yeah, you're like, I mean, you're having clients, you're having candidates, and you want to like make them happy, and that's why, like, I mean, and it's still like for me like a very good choice, just because like it's essentially giving freedom, right? I mean, you can decide on your own schedule. So yeah, it's both amazing.
But I got to tell you, you hate a lot of people. You're very frank about it. You hate a lot of candidates, right?
Yeah, I mean, the last month was very hard, so my tweets are maybe more in the direction of.
I don't want to
like,
expose you. I don't want to embarrass you, but
no, it's true, because like I'm just exposing. I mean, why should I like not tell the truth? I mean, 95% of recruitment is just pain. So why shouldn't I share? I mean, the pain.
If you're part of the Recruiting Animal Show, you probably are past the point of worrying about, you know, looking bad.
Yeah. Or you just enjoy the pain, one or the other, you know.
Yeah.
Past the pain, yeah. You got so much pain, you don't notice it anymore. It's just every day. So hold on a second. Hi, Rich Rosen. Should I do my ad for? I'll do my ad for these two guys. That Michael G. Cox, raise your hand, okay? Rich Rosen, he doesn't have to introduce himself, but that's the other guy, okay? They want to be the best recruiters in America, and Forbes has a contest for the companies that are the best recruiters in America. They're not interested in guys like me and Ivan, okay? Because we're not Americans. But those two guys qualify, and they want you to go out and vote for them. So go to coldcallrecruiter.com, coldcallrecruiter.com, take you 20 seconds, register. They'll send you an email. Then you can vote for both of these guys. You don't have to choose, okay?
Yeah, you kind of have to pretend to be like a hiring manager at some sort of a organization,
or
to
can you be a
make sure
recruiter?
that you actually get the right to
no,
vote.
you can. I don't think you're right.
You can be a peer too. Yeah, you're all your cousins that all voted, Mike. Those guys, they had to pretend.
They had to pretend.
Yeah.
Well, Rich got his kids. He got his kids and wife.
Yeah,
to vote,
exactly.
All their
parents to vote as
Gmail
well.
accounts.
But let me
didn't
finish
help.
off. They'll send you an email, then you vote. But here's the key, okay? You can't vote for them by name personally. You have to vote for their businesses. So Rich is cornerstonesearch.com. Make sure it's not one of those other two Cornerstone searches. I don't know how you're going to differentiate.
There were a few of them. There was like more.
It was yeah, there was a few of them. You got to do the .com. I don't know why they did it that way. But.
Cornerstonesearch.com. That's how you differentiate. And Michael G. Cox has ZagWorks. Z. Look, I talk like an American. ZagWorks.com. ZagWorks. And if you have problems with that, he told me he was smart enough to buy Zag, ZagWorks as well. Why he didn't pick that to begin with and forget about the X, I don't know, okay? That might be a reason you don't want to vote for him, but I think he's a good recruiter.
That's as good a reason as any.
Okay, if you enjoy the Recruiting Animal Show, I know there's a few people, okay? I do get messages the odd time. But they're balanced off by complaints as well, let me tell you. So the thing is, if you enjoy it and you learn something from these guys, go vote for them, okay? Please. Okay, back to Ivan. Were you saying something else, Ivan, about hating people, or are we done with that? I had a question for Michael G. Cox. Okay, what were you specializing in your recruiting agency where you worked? How did you get a job in the summer to be a recruiter? You weren't working for your dad. That's the only time I've heard of other people who work for their parents, and it's during their schooling, and that's how they got into it.
So no, it was through like networking and connections. I knew somebody, and they were working in that field, and they got me into work summers because they would get really busy. And I was feeling everything, dude. It was like office and clerical, a ton of forklift operator type gigs. So yeah, it was everything.
You know, I got a question, changing the topic entirely. Donna came in for the first time in a year, I guess. And
it's actually Donna Bobana.
or whatever it is. Okay. I can't read those long Italian names. Anyway, so so here's the thing. Here's what that reminded me about. Donna used to be a teacher. Now she's a fantastically successful IT recruiter. And
No. Yes, on the successful part.
she keeps posting about how great it is. Okay. So don't
Yeah,
tell
but
me
not
she's not
IT.
successful.
Not IT. I don't do IT.
You were IT.
I was not. I was
What
never
were you?
IT.
What are you?
We work in medical communications, and I mostly recruit for client services, account management roles.
Okay,
within,
look, that's not my point. You're deranging. You're derailing me. Okay, she works
I
in the
didn't know what your
non-IT
point
field.
was.
Okay, hold on a second. Well, okay, I'll introduce you later. I'll give you an introduce with your phony name, so everybody who's
I
interested in your
put the
field
real one
can
on
get in
there.
touch with you. Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. Let me get to my point. What was it? Oh yeah. So these teachers. So somebody asked, look, there's a whole movement now of quit your job and become a recruiter. And I said to myself, I think it's true because I run jobs for recruiters on Facebook. I got tons of teachers telling me, and they all use the same term. I'm a teacher. I'm going to pivot to recruiting. Pivot is the word of the year. Okay. I hear it every day. I'm pivoting to recruiting. Is there a mass movement of teachers and other people who think that they can go into recruiting on their own or like get hired by some agency or corporation? Anybody want to take it on?
Doesn't everyone think they can go into recruiting? Doesn't everyone?
Yeah, but they're doing it. I think they're
everyone
doing
is
it
doing
now.
it, but they all suck at it. That's the problem.
But here's the other thing.
I mean, having been a teacher, and I have all my teacher network people.
Not teachers, everyone in general. One of the mentors I had was a teacher too.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, a lot of teachers are trying to leave, but I actually have a hard time because I brought one other teacher onto our company and I've got another one interviewing now. The way we do it, teachers, the skill sets work really well, but they don't think of it. They're not the ones thinking of it. In my instances, I'm having to teach them and educate them what the job is because it's not familiar to them,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think teachers make great recruiters. They have all the patience in the world. It's not teachers, it's everyone and their cousins coming into the business now. It's like the new real estate agent world.
There's a lot of teachers.
I think if a teacher can just, the hardest part is probably going to be the cold calling and just picking up the phone and calling people out of the blue. And if they can do that, because the initial fear is not to be discounted. I get a little nervous as well. But if you get past it and you start to realize that it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't that hard.
You know, Michael G. Cox, I was actually wanted to pick up on something you said last week, I think. You said, hi, Ernie. You said that after having a few weeks off during the holidays, when you started calling again, you had fears that people didn't want to talk to you. Is that?
Yes.
You want to expand on that?
And they were confirmed. Nobody wanted to talk to me. but that was okay. And
That was just
by
his
the way, that was on
family.
the
That's all right.
candidate side.
That was his wife.
That was his wife.
You didn't have to talk to me.
He gave her COVID. That was
Nice.
I did.
Okay, let's introduce the members of the band. Those two Forbes guys have been introduced. Ivan, here's a guy, I already said he was an IT developer himself. He became a recruiter, but not only that, he went above and beyond and created his own applicant tracking system, Klang.so, KLANG.so. There's people here who've checked it out, our regulars. They like it. They've given him compliments, even though on Facebook, Rich Rosen always is banging the drum for Crelate. Am I right about that, Rich?
You are.
For a long time. Crelate, Crelate. Okay.
Everyone they ask, baby.
He still endorses Klang.so. So go check it out.
My heart goes always like 300 beats per minute when I read that. Thank you, really.
No, it's a good program.
Okay. Ernie Marino is food industry recruiter. Okay. And Donna, you can introduce yourself. I don't know how you introduce yourself. You go ahead.
I'm Donna Terrell, and I'm doing the Medcom Life Sciences recruiting.
Okay. So if someone wants to find you, where would they go?
They can look for me on LinkedIn.
How do you spell your last name? If you want to tell, you don't have to.
They can.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, TERR.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. It's on the screen. Okay.
I'm not like a big
I
presence.
have to say though, I'm not sure if I would recognize Donna from the last time I saw her. She had some pretty bangs. I was quite in love with them, right?
Yeah.
Now they're gone. Yeah, now they're gone. You know, I had a. I woke up this morning and I was just lying there thinking, and I came up with a bunch. I don't know if I should go off on this tangent. It might take a little while.
No,
with a
you
bunch
shouldn't.
of
Yeah, if you've got to think about it.
no, wait a sec. Like new some changing format for the Recruiting Animal Show, where we create little regular type of TV shows for the different regular people. Like the first one that came to mind, I got to tell you, was You Can Be Rich Rosen. Okay, and it starts off. Interrupt me. Okay, stop me, you guys, if you don't like it. Starts off. You see a
We don't like
recruiter
it.
struggling on the phone, and then you see Rich wearing like that Rocky gray sweatsuit with the toque, and he's running around through landmarks in Boston. And the song
Dude,
is,
no, this is what he's talking about. He just recreated like that cut scene, the training scene in that boxing thing with Mike Tyson boxing. What was that called? Knockout?
Knockout. Oh yeah, that's right. Knockout. That's right.
Okay. And the theme song would be what would Richie Rosen do if he was here right now? I bet he'd kick an ass or two. That's what Richie Rosen would do.
I love this.
I'm not finished. I hope Facebook doesn't cut me off for actually singing a song I don't own. And then I don't know if you guys remember this TV show. There'd be 3 contestants, and the host would say, contestant number 1, what is your name, please? And he would say, I am Rich Rosen. And number 2, what is your name, please? I am Rich Rosen.
I've got a secret.
Yeah, okay. And number 3, I am Rich Rosen. And so then, they get presented with these situations, and they have to say what Rich Rosen would do, right? And Rich Rosen has some taglines that everybody would know, like he, looks at the phone and I'm out of here, and bangs down the phone. But the thing is, Rich would be over at the side, and if you would judge their answers, yeah, that's what I would do. No, I wouldn't hang up at that point, and they would get points.
I love it.
Good.
I'm not.
That's it. Actually, that would be like a full-fledged recruiter training program.
Okay.
And probably way more valuable than about half of the ones that already exist.
Amen.
Well, that's something I was going to ask before I get on to the second show. The other ones are shorter, but when you were talking, Michael J. Cox, G. Cox, about how your Michael J. Fox is always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But when you were talking about how you came up in the business, have you ever used a coach? You mentioned something, because I see Rich as well. In addition to pushing Crelate, he's always promoting Trisha Tamkin. He said something about her the other day, like she's an updated version of Peter Lefkowitz, which I didn't really understand. But
she had trained with Peter Lefkowitz years ago. She worked for him years and years and years ago.
Okay, well, what does updated mean?
The modern version.
Okay, we're not going to find out. I'm not going to waste time trying to pull that. Okay, but Michael G. Cox, have you ever used a coach? And you don't have to say. You can say no, even. Really?
So, like I pay attention to Dualta. I've been through some trainings with DSP.
Yeah.
But aside from that, no. So nothing until I went solo.
Okay. Did you pay like for his accelerator program, or maybe he gave it to you for free because you're working teaching stuff yourself?
No,
right?
I paid for the accelerator program a couple of years ago. Also, we had access to some Lefkowitz stuff a long time ago. I had his planner.
I have it right here.
Would have to pull it up. That daily planner, the thing was legit.
But the thing is with Lefkowitz and with Finkel as well, I think these things appeal to certain personalities. Like Peter Lefkowitz, he said, I remember I was there. He said, this guy looks just like James Taylor. I don't think I did, but anyway. Yeah. Well,
hey, also Lou Adler, I paid for a couple of his courses when I was still when I had started in corporate
so
a long
you
time
paid for
ago.
courses. That's different from having a personal coach like Rich does. And Rich says she helped him close a $50,000 deal recently, and for a funny reason, he was so aggressive that he needed someone to rein him in. Am I right about that?
That's pretty much what I use Trish for. So,
For self-awareness training.
Exactly. So I mean, I've paid for Trisha's training in the past, but I help her out and she helps me out. And I think she's dynamite. But definitely when I get a little too aggressive in my emails, I make sure she'll smooth them out for me.
See,
But she, I mean,
interesting.
literally, you know what?
Point.
She helped me close a $50,000 deal on my 50th birthday. How's that for karma?
Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Rich.
Thank you.
Happy
It's actually
birthday.
my wife's birthday today. So
Aw.
Happy
You
birthday, Spinderella.
Cinderella, baby.
Cinderella, sorry.
Dude, that was the name of her fantasy football team. She loved that. That was the funniest thing.
Nice.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but I'll say something else though that I was thinking about. So Rich has actually, he thinks coaching helped him, although he's getting it for free now. Okay, let's point that out. Some of these coaches are very expensive, and also I know Michael G. Cox has said in the past as well that accelerator program. You told us that you've on Facebook that you've used the format and you believe it has helped you make money. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, so we have a lot of corporate recruiters that want to make the jump. And I had been out of agency for a very long time. When I was in an agency, first of all, it wasn't my agency. I was using other people's training and materials. I had their scripts and their clients already. So it really, I mean, when you go out on your own, you're starting at zero, and you think because you're a great recruiter that the world's going to beat down your door and just hand you orders. So the big thing that was lacking was clients, and what he really helped me with was how to basically stuck a mint in my mouth and helped me learn how to say shit properly.
I don't want to say shit. This other guy I saw, he was teaching us how on Twitter how to cook Indian food, and he says the great thing is this shit cleans up really fast. Well, don't tell me the food you're eating is shit, okay? And don't tell me that the teaching you're getting is shit either. I don't like that word. That's an animal bad word.
The training was really helpful on the business development side.
Okay, but all he used the guy's short nickname DSP. Although I have to admit he uses it himself. His name's David Stephen Patterson. And what's the group that you can find him on?
The HERC. Headhunters and Executive Recruiter Community.
But if you go to Facebook and just put in HERC, anybody else used a coach or want to recommend anything?
They're all good. Like Danny Cahill's great. You got to just find the one that fits your style and your stuff.
Okay, that's a training. What about what I was interested in was like a personal coach, like you actually. Well, you use.
I've used her before. I've paid for a class.
Anybody else use a coach or a training? Anybody want to talk about? Okay, Ernie actually told us how to get good training for free on YouTube. Am I right? Remember, tell us again.
I mean, that's usually how I did it. I started out just straight from being an HR executive.
Okay, that's a big advantage. That's just like Ivan. You knew a lot before you started becoming a recruiter, right?
But it was 98. It was in 1998, and just started working with people. But I think the key is to keep learning, no matter who teaches you.
Yeah, I don't want that kind of pablum. I want you to tell us how you did it, okay? And I know you did it on YouTube because you told us before.
I did it on YouTube. I bought books. I talk to people. I still talk to people. I call them up. But what I'm saying is there's multiple sources. There's not one guy you go to.
Okay, you know what? I don't like the general stuff here. You should know that already. I'm going to have to go back. Now that I know how to edit this stuff, I'll find that other show. I'll cut out that little bit and I'll put it up myself, Ernie. I'm not going to struggle with you on this show after all this time. I can put it up myself.
Animal. You want to know something? When I first started, and I didn't know anything. Like I didn't even know anything.
You're a good speaker, though. Okay, you have a good personality.
She's a teacher. She's got the authoritative voice.
She couldn't even speak English.
Back to what I was saying. So somehow I stumbled on I don't know, it sounded more like a radio show, the podcast. And I just went and downloaded all of them. And whenever I would walk, I listened to all the old shows. And then when I would hear someone I thought was interesting, I would find them. That's how I found Michael G. Cox. And I was like, hey, you're famous. Teach me. So I go to him for advice sometimes now. And but that's what I did. That's actually, I've stalked Rich Rosen for a while. He doesn't know that.
Remember that weird car that was parked in your in front of your house?
It's parked in my driveway. God, you know.
That was her. She's there right now.
But yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. So you were like a training ground for finding different people, and then just going, stalking their profiles, reading what they did. If I found someone's kind of similar, then I would explore further. So
but I mean, there's lots of good people who've been on the show over the years. So thank you, Donna. I didn't expect that.
Okay.
Ivan, you've told us before, you also have a crush on one of the people here. But what about coaching? You've never hired a coach, have you?
No, I don't think so. But it's definitely, there's so much value into that. Like, I think like when we have business problems, we should like ask on the Facebook group or like call someone.
Yeah.
So 100%. Like people, I think they just do the decision, and like it would be much better to wait a little bit, talk to people. Don't necessarily listen to them, but definitely when you explain your problem, usually you like get a better result anyway. Like, by just speaking about it. This is like a typical thing, right? So
teaching, yeah, you'll learn by teaching. So you teach people what your problems are, and then you figure it out yourself. Okay.
Yeah, even less than that. You don't need to teach. You don't need to teach even less than that. Just speaking like what you're thinking.
Yeah, it's the same thing though. That's what a teacher has to do: formulate his or her ideas very clearly, so they can convey it to somebody else. And that's what you're talking about. I'm formulating my problem clearly, and that helps me solve it. That's essentially, don't tell me what you're saying. I know what you're saying, okay? Okay, let me get to that second show. It's called Work From Home Dad, starring Michael G. Cox, right? And here's the idea. He's working like we saw the last show, two of his kids appeared behind him back there waving at me, okay? So he's got these 3 kids who are bugging him all the time. His wife thinks he's a Mr. Mom, and they're sending the kids in, Dad, why didn't you take out the garbage like you promised and stuff like that? Yeah. But so he's really, he's going crazy, and there's an old granny living there who solves all the problems at the end of the show.
Nice.
I was thinking,
I like this show.
It's kind of like My 3 Sons. But the grandmother is not as cranky as Bob or whoever they had, that old guy. Okay. The other show is Uncle Ernie. Okay. He lives in a rough part of Chicago.
Nice. I like this.
And he solves. He uses his recruiting knowledge to solve problems for at-risk youth. Okay, kids, every week he solves some problem for a kid, get him a job, or how to, teaches him something.
I used to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I used to work for nonprofits and working with kids.
Did you help any of them?
Yeah, some of them I wondered.
Well, you never know from reading the news, but every little bit.
It was in California.
Oh, okay. You haven't lived in Chicago the whole time. Okay. Finally, with Ivan, this one's a bit iffy. It's called My Favorite German. Okay, and
okay.
Well, you're kind of German. You've got like a Russian or Ukrainian last name, but my favorite Russian would work as well. This company likes your work, so they recruit you they send you to their American office in Seattle, and you end up working in the same department as Amy Miller. Okay. And that's the basis of the show. Okay. I was thinking
did he arrive in a spaceship?
No, I was thinking of My Favorite Martian and The Farmer's Daughter.
My Favorite Martian.
Okay, but
Nanu.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of he's a later generation Ernie. We're talking about going way back. Okay, me and Ernie know what it's all about. Anyway, so that's what I was thinking about this morning before it was still dark. Okay,
I'm concerned about the things that populate your brain.
Okay, but I think about the show. Okay,
Donna, what do you want to talk about, Donna?
Anybody? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I don't know. The biggest thing I always struggle with, not struggle, I don't know, maybe I struggle with, but the candidate engagements of the ones we can't get by phone. So, cause we are cold callers and we are constant callers, like that is what we do. We live and die by the phone. But sometimes I feel like I'm leaving a lot of money on the table because not everyone's going to take my phone call or do the text. And so, yeah, I mean, any, email campaigns that work, LinkedIn campaigns that work.
First of all, okay, what you said, I like what you said, and it might become an eponymous rule. Eponymous, everybody. I know you don't know what it means. It means named after a particular person. Okay.
Hippopotamus.
Eponymous. There's 6. I've got 6 eponymous rules now. Okay. There's the Rich Rosen rule. If you're a difficult client, walk away. That's where I got that line. Get out of here. I'm out of here. Okay. And but Jeff Altman added a new one. Everybody lies. And now, Donna, it's great. We live and die by the phone. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, there'd be tons of people disagreeing with you. Nobody here, but on the Facebook groups, lots of people.
Nobody that makes money would disagree with you.
Does anybody want to help her? Anybody?
Rich.
What's the question? What do you do if you can't get them on the phone?
Well, just other ideas that have worked for the engagement. Yeah. So even if there's because seriously, that is really what we do. We do the phone, and we might have a follow-up email or a follow-up connect request, but a very specific, intentional way of going about without doing, this is the thing, we don't have automation. So it would just be me. But if, I don't know, I'm just trying to even how to space it out or,
Listen, there's no great way to do it. I mean, that's the thing. It's just, you've got to get people at the right time with the right wording. I mean, I leave a voicemail if I have the phone number, obviously, and then I'll send them a text as I'm leaving them a voicemail saying, disregard my voicemail, but they'll probably go listen to it anyway. Just share your name again. And then it basically just says either, hey, it says a couple of different things depending on the mood I'm in, hey, following up on an email.
Depending on whether or not you've spoken to Trish.
What? Yeah, exactly.
Hold on, he did change something. He used to say he sent an email at night.
Yeah,
and then he phoned in the morning. Now you say you text.
No. That's just, we just picked it up in the middle of it.
No, that's what you said. Yep, that's what you said.
With what I said, that's what I do. But this is what I'm going by where Donna was from her call. You left a voicemail, and or you called, you didn't get anyone. So then I'll send a text as I'm leaving him a voicemail saying, hey, didn't know if you're still interested in an opportunity, or hey, heard a lot of people and you're getting pinged from a lot of folks in your company. So checked out your profile, thought you may be interested in opportunities as well, or you may be interested in would you be interested in a potentially stronger opportunity? And then, if it's the third or fourth time, maybe I'll give them a little bit more detail on the opportunity itself. But then also they're in the mix of an automated campaign. So while I'm texting and calling, they're still getting an email every couple of days anyway.
Hold on, you're using technology? I didn't know that. I thought you do it manually.
No. I mean, I do most of things manually, but I
didn't know you were using technology, you old
I just got this Abacus.
I didn't know you were using the phone.
This new Abacus is amazing.
I thought you were still mailing.
This postcard still, No,
what are you using? What are you using?
Send postcards in the mail.
So I'll build my list at night. I'll send a list to my admin who's overseas. He's like, all he does is data entry. So he'll put the list into my database, find the phone numbers and emails using Swordfish or Chatterworks or whatever. And then once it's in my database, it automatically gets sucked out by Outplay. I use Outplay or I use Sourcewell, both email campaign automation solutions. So you can personalize the emails and everything else, and then you just put them in the drip campaign, and then it ties into Crelate, so it will update each stage. So if someone follows up, and moves them into a follow-up stage. If the email bounces, it tells me it bounces. So you can just go and correct all that stuff. And
Donna, do you
Who's designing this first list?
Donna, do you send emails out and you send texts out?
First Ivan, then Ernie. Ivan, then Ernie. Because he's asking Rich to clarify. Sorry.
Who filters the first initial search list? So who designs this first initial list of candidates?
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting the list together.
Do you have an admin now? Did you just say you've got an admin?
I've had this guy for 20 hours a week for like 2 years.
No, you say you can't find anybody. okay.
It's his
Animal, you didn't listen. He said a couple of times that he has an admin.
Yeah, I said all the
data
time.
entry before.
that's
I didn't
the-
know.
Yeah, you don't listen.
He
to
didn't
your show.
understand it because we all say admin and he
Yeah.
says
What do you say?
Admin.
Admin.
What country? So hold on, Ernie, I haven't forgotten about you. What country is your admin in?
He's in like India or Pakistan, someplace where it's $6 an hour. I don't
And
know.
you found him on Fiverr or Upwork?
No, actually, he actually does work for Trish also. Trish Dampkin also.
Oh, you got it through a networking
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you write it. The admin doesn't
wait,
handle it.
On that point, though, I do have a friend whose kid is looking to do some part-time work. He's out of college, in between going to grad school or whatever. So he's looking to do some part-time admin work too. So if anyone needs an admin, he may be able to do some of this sourcing and stuff like that.
Hey,
so
Ernie
while
wants
you're
to
doing
talk
your
to-
calls and whatnot, Source Whale or
Outplay.
what's the other?
Outplay.
Outplay
Yeah.
is basically generating some sort of an email and maybe LinkedIn messaging campaign.
Yeah, I don't do it for LinkedIn yet. I think they just added that actually, but it will. I'll write the emails, the campaign, and then I have it set to go every so many days. And
you do it individually with each job, right?
yeah.
So Donna, the
What
basically,
about Ernie? Ernie's it's Ernie's turn.
I guess it's more towards Donna's question originally. Do you text and do you email as well along with a phone call?
I
Yeah,
do. I do the calls. I'll follow up with text and I'll follow up with LinkedIn connections. And if we have their email, I'll send an email, but I don't have an intentional campaign where it keeps hitting, that way. And like we do with the phone calls, we have a very rigid phone call follow-up, but not text, email, or LinkedIn.
So do you have a device where if they open their email or they open their text that you could see that they've opened it?
No, I got nothing.
Because that may be a piece that's missing and may help you relieve some of the frustration, because if you can tell that they opened it and they didn't respond, then and you do it again and a couple of times, they're seeing your message.
The only problem with those are like I use there's a lot of good cheap ones like Read Notify and what do I use?
mail
tracker.
check and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's I use.
I got a
Mail.
lifetime deal on one of those.
Yeah, I mean, well, even
Don't
like
spend
Read
money.
Notify, it's like $30 a year or something like that, and Mail Track, same thing. It's like 20, 30
Mail
bucks a
track.
year.
There you go.
But it's like the problem with them, they're great, but who has time to keep an eye out and see, hey, did they open this email? When they do it?
Well, they'll come back and do it on your email. It'll open up.
They do, but I don't know about you. I get literally
Alexa, you
800.
can do that.
I get over 800 emails a day. Who has time to look through all your emails?
Yeah, but that's all fantasy football emails and
Yeah,
updates.
seriously,
But
I'm kind of fancy. I don't know.
it does help when you can tell if somebody may have interest or not. And if Don, unless you're putting out 800 emails a day,
Right.
but you're looking at what I'm getting at more is you're frustrated from the fact that they're not getting back to you and you wonder whether or not they even open their email.
Right. Did they get the
That's a
message?
different-
But if you just buy Outplay or Swordfish or Interstellar or one of the other 9,000 email campaign programs out there,
Yeah.
it's going to tell you all this information. It's going to tell you who opened it, when they opened it, how often they opened it, the percentage of people that opened it. You can see what A/B testing did, what worked, what didn't work. I mean, it's worth the investment.
And the question becomes whether you own the company or not. Because if somebody else owns it and you're just a recruiter within that organization, they may not want to pay for it.
Yeah, but they may not want to, but you're better off using it anyway. So one, if you
Right.
don't own the company.
But you find a lot of people that don't want to do that. I
I
mean,
know, but
they don't want to spend an extra $50 or
listen,
something.
I don't want to spend an extra $50, but I know if it's going to make me an extra
But you're a
million,
millionaire.
I'm going to do it. But that's the difference, though.
No,
People don't
but
wanna
that's
take
but you're
risks.
getting to the point where a lot of people, when they're working for somebody, they feel like they shouldn't invest on their own.
You're right, but it's self.
Yes.
But they should.
So
We all agree
when
they
I
should.
first started, but Ernie, when I first started, I wanted to make money. My company was cheap. They didn't want to spend any money. So I bought the first resources book for the space I was in. I bought the first computer in the entire MRI Boston area, 77 recruiters. I bought the first computer in the entire company.
Yeah.
Right. So what is I'm a sales guy. I got to make commission. If working for some jackass who's not going to invest in me, then you leave or invest in yourself to make money. But why would you not? Either you can't be in this business and have a defeative attitude and say, my boss isn't going to pay it, so I'm not doing it. Well, that's great. Who you hurting? I mean,
Just to clarify, my boss isn't cheap, but he's only going to pay for something he believes in. So in this case, it might be an instance of, because he's such a phone person and anyway, I might need to make the initial investment, show him that it works, and that it's something we could put out, and
And even if he doesn't believe in it ever, if it works for you,
right,
then that's the key.
yeah. But
as long as I'm making him money, he does what he can to make me happy.
Hey,
there's no one that's more of a phone person than I am, and I can tell you, you need to do email, phone calls, and texting.
Well,
you cannot just do one.
And the point where Donna's losing money or leaving opportunities on the table is she is not developing any kind of follow-up to build and I'm not talking about a relationship. I'm just talking about
some brand recognition.
Yeah, they're going to remember Donna because, and you can remind them, hey, we connected on LinkedIn. Hey, I sent you a message on LinkedIn. We're connected, but it has to start. There has to be something other than that 4 or 5 phone call blitz over the course of 1 week. Because if it doesn't work, then 3 months from now, another 4 or 5 phone call blitz is still completely cold. And you want to be at least a little bit lukewarm where you can say, hey,
you want to see your name. The more people see your name, the more they get to know who you are. The more when you finally do talk, you're like, oh, Donna, I've known you forever.
Yeah. Donna, do you develop your own clients?
Not right now. I handle some that we have. We have too many clients right now. So we're not doing a whole lot of trying
if
to.
You have too many and some of them need to hire sales executives.
Yeah, they do. If they come from our industry, that's all they pay us for. Like experience. Sorry.
Okay.
Hey, the host of the show wants to talk, but anyhow, Rich, I had a question
more
for
importantly,
you.
Mike.
Yeah, more importantly, Rich, I was curious with Outplay, and I've used that. Do you have any issues with your dude logging on from a different location with your ID and password?
No.
Okay, so they're not giving you any bit of a hard time with that.
Okay, yeah, he wants to work from Mexico. Okay, that's his issue.
No, because I want to have my guy log into it, but I don't want to have to pay another $75 a month.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I bought. I mean, for this one, I literally did buy it on an AppSumo deal, so I paid $70 for life or $50 for life. But
your guy, do you also have an admin? You got an admin as well,
or an admin for you in America?
I have an admin. Who works here? Yeah,
it's not one of those little kids.
What does your admin do, or however Animal says it? Because
no, wait a second. For Donna, I want to finish off with Donna before we go off there.
I'm taking notes.
No, okay, hold on. Well, you can. It's going to be on. You can listen later. The thing is, you know better than me about that. Okay, but the thing is, Rich left an element out there that Michael G. Cox is talking about, and it's one of the eponymous rules that I've given to Tom Tuna. He says, call until one of you dies. Okay. These are good, nice, nifty rules to have in your mind. Just like we'll live and die on the phone. Who's ever going to forget that? That's good. That's why you're going to get it.
I can only imagine what
Rich
you're going to come up with.
Rich told me, and I don't have to prove it because it's on the Recruiting Animals show. He says, I said, how many times do you call? How frequent, there is no max. Okay. He told me there is no max. I'll call. And he says, and just like he said, they'll remember me. The more I call, the more it's good. But everybody says if you keep calling, they'll remember you, but not positively. What about that issue?
No.
Any advertising is good advertising, baby.
And here's the thing, dude. What I have found is you can just tell them real quick. I'm nothing if not persistent.
Yeah.
And that kind of softens the blow because they're kind of pissed off that I've been calling and emailing.
But you know what? But the Michael and I place sales guys. They totally appreciate the good ones appreciate the persistence and they get it. And the bad ones, they get pissed off and who the hell cares? They probably weren't that good to begin with because they should be doing the same thing in one form or another. And they
and then when a VP of sales gets pissed off about me calling him 4 or 5 times, I'm like, what do you tell your people to do?
Yeah.
Okay, but Donna's not placing sales reps, so I'm wondering if it's the same if she's placing engineers.
It is because I've placed all sorts of folks over my career, and
honestly, tell Donna what it is.
Software engineers are mentally ill. They don't like being contacted.
I have placed tow truck sales reps. I have placed advertising people, marketing people, finance people, nurses, admin, direct administration of nursing homes. When people have something, if you have something to say and you can get it out, they'll be fine with it. And those that get pissed off, it's like, listen, you're not asking for money. You're not asking for anything. It's all how you present it and approach it. So they shouldn't be getting pissed.
And our people are really, the people I call are super, super busy because they're in client services. So they're giving that white glove service to their clients all the time. And usually when they get a little testy, they're just anyway, when they get a little testy, they're just super busy. And so I don't take it personally. And they'll even laugh sometimes. Like they know that when they need me, they need me. And so they'll be nice at one point.
And just if they're cranky though, but if they're cranky, you send them a note afterwards. Say, listen, I obviously caught you at a bad time. Who cares? I mean, you can't get bent out of shape over it. You know, so move onward and upward.
Okay, back to Michael G. Cox. You wanted to still talk tech, right? Did I do
I was curious about Outplay because like LinkedIn, if I have somebody log into my LinkedIn from somewhere else at the same time,
they got a heart attack. Yeah.
So I was curious about that issue with Outplay.
You know what? I just, this stuff with these admins in foreign countries, you've seen Mario, who's here. He is a bright guy. He's got a great personality, and he knows what he's doing as a recruiter. Why would the admins, why don't they start up their own businesses in the United States, operating from the Philippines and East Germany and everywhere else like that? I got a feeling that the whole recruiting business is going to get exported over there, just like all the manufacturing went to China.
Yeah, that's what happened, and that's why most recruiters are lousy, because they're relying on people to do the hard part of the job, which is the outreach. Okay. You know, and it's, you know, Mario's good, but I'm telling, like, depending what space you're in, it's a struggle if you have certain accents, you know, right or wrong.
Oh yeah, you warned him about that, and he followed up. But his English is fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, his is, but I mean, if you get a cold call from China or India or someone sounding like that, what's your first reaction? It's, you know, I mean, right or wrong, it's another spam call.
I don't need another extended warranty offer.
Exactly. So it's a disadvantage, unfortunately. I mean, Mario speaks perfect English, but you know, not, you know, he's not as effective as probably other folks, but still.
I mean, really,
Mario does have an accent, though.
He does.
He does.
Yeah, and you know, you can speak perfect English, but if you do have an accent,
and if you don't know him, you're just like, you know, it's just like you're another recruiter.
Okay, the question is like how to protect the US market to get outsourced, and your only reply is like, we do not have an accent. That's kind of weak. Like, give more.
That's reality. It could be. It may be.
Yeah, but there has to be a stronger reason. You're 100% right, but there should be like an answer like, yes, but we could meet physically, and like, you know, we like understand each other, and we went, like, there should be like more meat on the bone, you know.
Who has time to do all that? I mean, especially if you're a guy.
People here do that because this country is small, so everybody meets. Even, I mean, the COVID, of course not, but before it was like everything because of personal interaction, essentially. And Silicon Valley works the same because people actually personally meet. This is why it works. So, I mean, you probably also didn't you say you meet your clients sometimes on like going on a cruise ship or something like that? They invite you on a boat.
I was on the guy's yacht, but that was because
exactly, and that's hard to do if you're like somewhere.
I've met 13 people, I think, in person in 26 years.
Wow.
You know,
in 2 years, I met one client.
So there must be something else. There must be something else then. It's not just that you're a native English speaker and like.
No, that's not what I said. That's absolutely not what I said. I said they have a disadvantage because if you're just cold calling someone and you sound like you're unfortunately from, you know, Asia or India or whatever.
Or Canada. Look how prejudiced they are about the way I talk. Okay.
Exactly. You know, it doesn't matter if you like the answer or not, it's still a fact. You know?
No, I get that. I mean, I agree 100% with you, but like what other arguments do you think are like why this doesn't get outsourced so easily?
Why does it get outsourced? Because it's still people need to have the quality and the skill. Like, you know, unfortunately, you get a lot of folks that are overseas that are just more robotic. You know, not everyone's like Mario.
Hold on, you know, David Stephen Patterson has very reliable people doing all kinds of work for him. So does.
But they're not on the phone.
So does Dualta.
But they're not on the phone.
Not on the phone. Okay.
You know, they're all over email, and I will bet you any day of the week, those of us that live on the phone, you know, will outbill those who live on email and are reactive versus the proactive phone people. Any day. And like, I mean, I love DSP, but honestly, I mean, his program to me you know, it's great if you're a writer, it's great, but it takes time and time and time to build that thing up. You know, it's not my style. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it just, to me, well, I could be spend 6 months writing, or I could spend 6 months, you know, making 6,000 phone calls. It's a lot of work, but I'll make a lot more money.
Okay, that's what I wanted to talk about a half an hour ago. I'll finish off with this, okay? Although we can talk about it another time, with like Steve Finkel or Peter Lefkowitz, their approaches, I think they are suited to specific kinds of people. Because I could never do some of the things like Steve Finkel would say, you know, hiring manager, take a look at your office and find the laziest person there, you know, who's never going to, you know, amount to much. It's time to replace him, and I'm going to give you somebody to replace that person. Something really aggressive like that. I couldn't say that. And then with Peter Lefkowitz, he says, recruit the candidate, bring him into your office, and cook him a steak right there in your office. Yeah. And then welcome him. This is, you know, this is for you now. You're a member of our world, Lefkowitz world. Now, this was years ago. Maybe he's changed. Everything's not face to face anymore. But that was, I was saying to myself, oh, I'm not bringing anybody in here. I mean, it suits other people. Anybody else before we go?
No, I was going to say, but it's all relationship building, and the more you can connect with somebody, the more they will tell you things. Like, this is the problem, and it may not be an open job. It may be the guy's still there, but today I had a conversation with somebody that said the guy's just not moving fast enough, and we're not happy with that. So confidentially, can you look for a plant manager for us?
Okay, you know, they might tell you that. I get people who are boring wanting to talk to me at length, and I don't know how to get rid of them. Okay, Bernie, you get good guys talking to you.
Why don't you just put them on hold for a second? Say, hey, hang on, I got a call coming in. That's all you got to do.
I'm not Rich Rosen, okay? I can't follow your advice.
Listen, my favorite, when I get the boring guys, these boring guys, I just say, listen, if you talk like this to the client, they'll hang up on you.
Oh, that's good.
I'm like, you got to be honest. Just be blunt. Listen, if I don't help them, I'm not doing them any good, am I? So I'm not being rude. I'm trying to educate.
I tried telling a dude that, look, you're great for the role. You got all the experience and then some. You're perfect. But what you have to do is be concise. You are running on way too long on these. I asked you one question and you almost went 12 minutes. Come on.
Yeah.
So
how could you let him go that long? Oh my God!
And at that point, you say,
Ivan,
let's practice this.
Yes.
He thinks he makes money by prepping candidates. Go ahead.
How do you like end a phone call like politely, where like when you know, okay, like it's example like Rich gave.
He doesn't care if he's polite, okay? That's the whole point.
Educational.
How do you end a phone call like quickly? Rich Rosen, please.
How do I just sound? Listen, honestly, I think you're great, but you're not probably great for the roles I've got right now. Let me keep you posted.
Bye.
That's it.
Hang up before they can even answer. Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
We'll come back to that, okay? Because that's a good question, Ivan. Ivan also, he thinks he makes money by prepping candidates. I don't know how Rich can tell somebody who's a blabbermouth, don't do that in the or Michael G. Cox, don't do that in the office. You're not going to get a job. They can't change on a dime just to get the job.
No, they can. Hey,
it's called coaching.
I told him, look, just keep it short and then tell them, keep it really short. They ask you a question, give them a super short answer, 12, 15 seconds. And then say, I can go further if you like. I can go into more detail, but I don't want to take up all of our time.
Okay,
I give them 30 seconds. And if you catch yourself going more than 30 seconds, you got to catch yourself. You got to stop and put a note on your monitor in front of you. So slow down, remember the time, smile, foot through the floor, all sort of simple little.
But are you confident they're going to do it?
Yeah. I mean, I made a ton of placements over it. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. Not all of them. I mean, some of them are completely screwed up.
Some of them don't. I mean, and it's really hard for some people to do that.
It is, but you know what?
That's when you just have to deal with them.
Listen, there's nothing guaranteed that's going to work. You could tell them the blue in the face. This is the answer to the test.
But the key is that you have to bring it up. If you hear it, you see it, you need to address it.
By the way, in the back of their head.
The guy went to the interview. It was a phone interview. The guy went to the interview. Afterwards, the VP calls me back and says, I can't handle it. I don't want to speak to this individual again. He went on way too long. Forget it. No. And I reached out to the candidate. I said, what did I tell you? And then, but it doesn't sink in sometimes. The guy
Exactly
says,
my
well,
point. Dr. Freud here is surprised with one coaching session, he can't change someone's personality.
But it's worked many other
works all the
times.
time, you know, but if you don't do it, it's never going to happen. You know,
Let's take this up another time. I want to introduce you guys. Donna, I have to ask you something first. Usually when there's a roundtable like this, I pick one person and put them on the, you know, the thumbnail for the thing. These guys that I do it for, they always complain. You know, they're
hold on. Let me make the face that you
seriously,
always post.
Never make the best face ever.
We haven't seen you in a long time. You asked a good question. I'll put you on the front page on YouTube.
All right, fix it up.
Unless you tell me I am
Yeah.
going to hate you, recruiting
No, she
animal.
had her
I
bangs
don't
in
want to
place,
be
so
on
yeah.
that page.
I won't hate you, but I do hate being on video, but whatever. You can,
Yes.
you can
Good
do
You'll
answer.
like
There
it,
you
and
go.
if you
Good
don't
answer.
like it, okay. First of
There you
all,
go.
As a team player, see?
you can do
first
this
of all,
one.
you're never going to see it. Nobody goes there. Okay,
Right.
Michael T. Cox, raise your hand.
Yo.
thesalesrecruiter.com. Rich Rosen, raise your hand. cornerstonesearch.com, whatever the other one is, I don't know. Ernie, foodindustryrecruiter.com. Clang.so, raise your hand. Okay. And Donna Terrell, she doesn't have a URL. Okay. And let's
Well, Pipeline Consulting. We're pipelineconsulting.com.
Pipeline Consulting. That's a great name. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I had a lot of fun.